Welcome to Trial Site News Weekly Roundup. My name is Adrian, and I'll be going over some of our top news stories from this past week. Please click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of future videos. This week we start up our roundup with drug and patient exploitation alerts. A common prescription medicine has been linked to an almost 50% higher chance of getting dementia, according to the University of Nottingham, a UK-based study. The University of Nottingham led the study focused on diagnosis data for 284,343 individuals over 55 that were registered with GPS in the United Kingdom. Nearly 59,000 of the individuals studied were diagnosed with dementia at some point. The Nottingham investigators found that within 11 years, according to their dementia diagnosis, 56.6% of the patients, or 33,253, had been prescribed anticholinergic drugs. Those individuals in the UK that were on antidepressants, anti-Parkinson's drugs, antipsychotics, antiepileptic drugs, and those that used to control bladder incontinence experienced greater risk, which could be considered by some a striking situation. Professor Tom Denning noted that this study provides further evidence that doctors should be careful when prescribing certain drugs that have anticholinergic properties. He, however, cautioned patients to not just stop taking the drugs, they must go to see a doctor and consider the options first. In other related news, Boston-based Dana-Farber Cancer Institute is seeking a share of the $1.6 billion in licensing revenue that Bristol-Myers Squibb, or BMS, an pharmaceutical company, have allegedly received from 6 immunotherapy patents that a court recently ruled is partially Dana-Farber's. Dana-Farber Corp claimed that the duo unfairly deprived the cancer center of the opportunity to grant royalty-bearing licenses and robbed the center of licensing revenue. Now, we have been studying many preclinical licensing deals. Universities are, in many cases, giving industry sponsors really good deals for potentially valuable intellectual property access. We think in many cases they are undercharging industry sponsors. And we, at Trial Site News, wonder if they will start to extract a greater premium on their intellectual capital. Now, on to trial monitoring related news. Global CRO Parexel has inked a deal with Claritas, combining that company's ClinLife patient portal and its own regional expertise about China's research centers and patient population in an effort to more effectively recruit and retain clinical trial patients in China, reports EPM magazine. The partnerships seeks to leverage digital technologies and Parexel's CRO-based regional expertise to improve recruitment. The fact that China has over 770 million internet users, which represents double that of the U.S. population, will help in recruitment. Claritas' turnkey patient portal tool is available in more than 28 languages and in 42 countries, including China. For many drug developers, China represents a mission-critical market. It is barely penetrated by Western biopharmaceutical companies in terms of drug product revenue and market share. We look forward to see what this partnership may bring. In other trial monitoring news, the Association for the Accreditation of Human Research Protection Programs, or the AAHRPP, reports that it has accredited 3 more research organizations, including a first in the Middle Eastern country of Jordan. The 3 newly accredited research sites include Intermountain Healthcare in Murray, Utah, King Hussein Cancer Center in Amman, Jordan, the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas. Now, accreditation is vitally important for research sites. It represents a commitment to quality and safety for human participants in clinical research, as in the case of the AAHRPP. Moving on now to autoimmune-related news. A report from researchers led by Penn State Milton's S. Hersey Medical Center in Pennsylvania that a study investigating the relationship between hidradenitis suppurativa, HS, and alopecia areata in a U.S. sample revealed that those with HS had a significantly higher risk for alopecia and also lichen planopilaris. This means that hair loss and associated scarring could be associated with the condition. Lead researcher Jocelyn S. Kirby, MD, MS, head of the Department of Dermatology at Penn State, reported that both alopecia areata and HS likely involve an itching event at the hair follicle. which leads to subsequent inflammation, stated Abigail Sutton of Helio. We have heard from several of our HS readers that they have noticed hair loss and are glad that this research is being done. Elsewhere, in exciting news for those that seek autoimmune disease cures, 3 Penn investigators have received a $4.5 million grant to establish a clinical center researching autoimmune diseases. The new center is called an Autoimmunity Center of Excellence, or ACE, and is the 5th of its kind in the United States. The center will include 2 clinical trials as well as a collaborative project with other ACE centers. Penn's ACE will include dermatology, neurology, and pathology researchers to focus on the role of B cells in autoimmune disease. The grant itself originates from the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, which is part of the NIH, and will allow Penn professors to study human participants rather than just patient samples. Dr. Amy Payne, an associate professor of dermatology, will serve as the Penn ACE administrative director. Continuing on with autoimmune-related news, the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation received a $3.1 million grant to study more about lupus, with the hopes of finding a way to beat it someday. The Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation, or the OMRF, will utilize recent funding to see if we can find a mechanism or pathway that could eventually be targeted by therapy or treatment, quoted Dr. Patrick Gaffney, a scientist at the OMRF. OMRF is a venerable institution in Oklahoma and beyond. Launching just after World War II in 1946, they have since contributed significantly to medical research. OMRF research has led to things like Zygris, the first FDA-approved drug for the treatment of sepsis, and Ciproten, a therapy for people suffering from a rare and life-threatening blood disorder known as a protein C deficiency. Research at OMRF also identified the enzyme believed responsible for Alzheimer's disease and laid the groundwork for OncoView, a breast cancer assessment test. Now, Trial Site News has reported extensively about XBiotech's quest to cure hidradenitis suppurativa. Our readers struggling with this particular disease will be happy to know that Alice Gottlieb, MD PhD, will chair the company's upcoming Phase 2 bermekimab clinical trial. She is the medical director of dermatology at the Mount Sinai Beth Israel campus and clinical professor at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. She is one of the few physicians in the nation board certified in dermatology, rheumatology, and internal medicine. Dr. Gottlieb commented, "We need more effective treatment for hidradenitis suppurativa. Bermekimab offers that potential option for a more effective treatment for HS." XBiotech's president and CEO, John Simard, commented that we are honored to have Dr. Gottlieb continue to advance our bermekimab program in HS. Dr. Gottlieb chaired a recent open-label study with bermekimab that demonstrated that weekly treatment with bermekimab was associated with statistically significant improvement in HS in the study. 61% of patients with no prior biological therapy achieved positive high score or hidradenitis suppurativa clinical response at 12 weeks, while 63% of patients who had previously failed biological therapy also achieved a positive high score. At the end point, patients with no prior biological therapy had a 64% reduction in pain compared with baseline, which those who had previously failed anti-TNF therapy or TNF blockers had a 54% reduction in pain. We are excited to see what Dr. Gottlieb does in the future. In other related autoimmune news, preclinical researchers from Aarhus University and Aarhus University Hospital have transplanted a human immune system into mice, enabling the study of immune functions which otherwise would be difficult to study. The Danish preclinical research succeeded in transplanting human stem cells into mice whose own immune system is disabled. Amazingly, the researchers triggered a type of reaction in the immune system which normally reacts to meeting a range of viruses and bacteria. Anna Halling Faulkner Anderson, a PhD student at the Department of Clinical Medicine at Aarhus University and one of the researchers behind the study, noted that the humanized mice are an important tool in understanding how human immune cells behave during diseases and how they react to different medical treatments. So, being able to show that it's possible to study human sting in mice represents an important step. We hope that this will lead to better research into diseases that are related to sting." End quote. Shifting gears now to cancer-related news. Cancer research is globalized, with researchers around the world sharing and pooling data to ideas to collaboratively study a disease that kills 10 million people annually. International collaborations represents a core underpinning of these programs everywhere, including an intrinsic part of the U.S. National Cancer Institute's Moonshot program. Peter Waldman of Bloomberg reports that the NIH and the FBI are targeting ethnic Chinese scientists, including those that are U.S. citizens searching for a cancer cure. Recently, an award-winning epidemiologist, Zai-Fen Wu, quietly resigned from her position at the Center for Public Health and Translational Genomics at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center, after a 3-month investigation into her professional connections in China. A disease such as cancer knows no borders, and the cure will surely require ongoing global collaborations of the type ongoing for decades to come. In further cancer-related news, the FDA provided a complete response letter to Daiichi Sankyo, alerting them as to the reasons why the new drug application, or NDA, for quizartinib as a treatment of adults with relapsed refractory FLT3-ITD positive acute myeloid leukemia, or AML, would not be approved. Apparently, the FDA's decision derives from a May 2019 recommendation from the organization's Oncologic Drug Advisory Committee, or the ODAC. The panel voted 8-3 that the available data did not definitively demonstrate that the benefit of quizartinib outweighed the potential risks. Quizartinib is a small molecule receptor tyrosine kinase inhibitor originated Ambit Biosciences. Dr. Heidi D. Klippen of Wake Forest University Health Sciences noted, and I quote, "I voted no based on the available data. The efficacy results that we were shown are a modest 6 weeks. And if I felt confident in that data, that would have been enough for me in the setting of AML. But a lot of the questions that were raised with respect to bias, confounding, and I do think the issue of equipoise, or interests, is a real one in the setting of this particular study. It raises questions about whether or not that survival benefit is real." Meanwhile, this month, Genentech, a Roche company, had the drug known as polatuzumab vedotin peak, or Polivy, approved by the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA. The drug, a CD79B-directed antibody-drug conjugate, was approved for the treatment of diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, or DLBCL, when used in combination with bendamustine and rituximab. DLBCL is considered potentially curable. Now, Polivy represents a new powerful class of cancer-fighting therapy called antibody-drug conjugate, or ADC. Genentech licensed the underlying ADC technology from Seattle Genetics. ADCs attacks the cancer cells in the body while avoiding healthy cell and tissue. They potentially help us take our fight against cancer to the next level, and we look forward to more to come. Our final cancer-related news this week is from medicalresearch.com, which recently showcased NYU Langone health investigators concerning the topics of circulating NDA. NYU Langone health investigators established that several studies of metastatic melanoma patients have demonstrated that measuring circulating tumor DNA, or ctDNA, associates with their disease burden and survival. They reported that an NYU Langone representative believes that the study provides solid evidence to support more studies to evaluate additional on-treatment blood measurements to continuously improve how we determine how we may be able to benefit from these tests moving forward. One reasonable hope would be that continuous monitoring of ctDNA in patients undergoing treatments for metastatic melanoma can provide an early indication of treatment failure, triggering notice to doctors and health teams to consider modifying the patient's treatments or ordering radiographic scans ahead of the routine schedule. We look forward to further studies regarding ctDNA and metastatic melanoma. Shifting gears now to autism-related news stories. The NFL's Philadelphia Eagles are providing autism in a novel way when it comes to health-related philanthropy, by selecting individual research projects for funding with the effect of turning the team into a giant founder of research. The Eagles aren't just giving money away for a photo op. They are strategically targeting research, not just handing money over to an institution and letting them do whatever they want. Rather, they are strategically selecting the type of research they want to fund, taking an active approach in the process. In this way, a professional football NFL team becomes a research sponsor, a fascinating trend if it continues. The Philadelphia Eagles Autism Challenge has raised considerable sums, and that number may increase over time with continued success. For those interested, the Philadelphia Eagles Autism Challenge Executive Director is Ryan Hammond. See trialsitenews.com for more contact information. And finally, we turn to women's health news. Lund University researchers have spent a couple of decades working on developing a drug to combat preeclampsia and recently completed a preclinical study published in the journal Scientific Reports. The study was conducted in a transgenic mouse model of preeclampsia, and the resulting results trigger an important discussion as they confirm studies by the same research team, evidencing that alpha-1 microglobulin has potential therapeutic effects in preeclampsia. Senior researcher Lena Erlanderson notes, the treatment based on the human body's own scavenger protein, AIM, or alpha-1 microglobulin, which is present in all vertebrae, has a good effect on the disease symptoms such as high blood pressure and protein leakage from the kidneys into the urine. We also observed an improvement in organ function in the kidney and the placenta. We saw no indication of the side effects in the study now published using the preeclampsia mouse model, which best reflects the various stages of the disease during pregnancy. The mice developed serious preeclampsia in early pregnancy. Now, preeclampsia is a devastating event. We are glad to see some headway being made on this front. Final notes. We are excited to announce the launch of our podcast starting July 10th. We will be interviewing as a first guest Adamimmune. He will be discussing how he has been able to put his autoimmune issues in remission through food. You can check out his YouTube channel below in the description, and you can listen into the podcast on July 10th at our website at trialsitenews.com. Don't forget, remember to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of updates.